Welcome to the fastest daf in town, Tedum Masechtas Zevachim Daf Lamed Beis. We're going to begin the third parak, which begins on the previous Amud on Lamed Alf Amud Beis. Kol Apsulim Sheshachnen Shechitasin Ksherin. So any person who is actually puzzled to do the shechita, nonetheless the shechita is going to be kosher. What does that mean? So as someone who's apostle, as we're going to see now, sheshchitik sher bezarim v'nashim v'avadim utameim. So all these different people who typically are apostle to do the avoda, but if they would do the shechita, it's kosher, and that includes even someone who's tamei. If you feel b'kachik kedoshim, even if we're talking about an oila or a chatas, it doesn't make any difference. Says Rashi, but tamei sheretz kaimer. When it says someone's tamei, it means someone's tummy sheretz. Shenim matami kli delav avatomahu. Possibly tummy mace again shebada kraimis shilkana b'shachet lo. Maybe he used some type of a reed of a sakin loy. It can't be a knife. Shumatam as a sakin because he would be matam with a knife. The sakin matam as a basar. Could go into of sakin a rich of a shachet. Okay. He obviously had to have a long knife because how was he able to go into the base of Mikdash? Okay, so that we'll get into. And then the Mishnah says, even though a tummy could do it, but he can't actually touch the meat. Okay. Because he can not make the knife and then the meat tame. So lafikach hein poislin b'machshava. So these people can passel with an improper machshava. If they have some type of pigul machshava, because their shechita works, so therefore it'll also cause them, if they have a machshava of that's going to be done chutz l'zman, chutz l'kaimo, the hakdaira or the chila, that'll passel and make it pigul. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah on Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, a kulan, and all these people like a zar who's passel. If let's say they would do the Kabbalah with this condition to do chutz zman chutz kamo, so im yesh dam hanefesh yaksar hakosher v'kabel. If there's still enough dam in the animal, then a kosher person like a kayin should go and do this again. Says Rashi, shein machashavtan shel elu pesaltan b'Kabbalah. Their machshava won't do anything when it comes to Kabbalah, because they're not fit to have done the Kabbalah to begin with. Then machshava poiselas el b'mi shiroi lavoda. It has to be someone who's fit to do the avoda. That's why for the shechita, which a zar is kosher to do the shechita, so therefore he can cause pigul, but not by Kabbalah. So therefore, im yesh dam nefesh yaksar kosher v'yikabel. Okay, that's what he should do. Okay, weiter. Kibel hakosher. Let's say you have a kohen that is makabel it, v'nosul l'psul, give it to a psul, yasul kosher, give it back to the kosher. Kibel biyamino. Let's say it was makabel in his right hand, v'nosul l'smoilo, and it was put improperly into his left, so yasul liyaminoi, and he puts it into his right hand. Kibel b'kli kodesh. So you did it right the first time, even though in the middle there was a problem, you can go revert back. Nishmach min kli al haritzba. Let's say the blood spilled from a kli onto the floor, v'osvu, and gathered it up, kosher. Nishba nosnu al gami kevesh shelo keneged yisod. Let's say the dam was put by the ramp, which is not keneged yisod. Nosen esenesin in lamata. Or let's say the dam applications were not put in the right place. Like the oil is supposed to be put on the below the chut sikra, the chatas above the chut sikra. So if there's more dam, as we saw before, then you should gather blood from the dam from the animal and then redo it. Says the Gemara. Shachdu, so it says you already did the shechita, which is mashma di'evid l'chadchilo. That maybe a zar can only do it b'di'evid. Verminhu b'shachat shechita b'zar kshera. It actually works. Shashchitik sher b'zarim v'nashim v'abadim u'v'tameim. V'afil b'kachim v'kadashim. They can even do it with kachim kadashim. Oh, eno ela b'kohanim. Maybe only kohanim should do it. So Amrit v'chi ayin ba'ata. Where is this coming from? V'chlal shenamar. The fact that the pasuk says, and the pasuk says a lengthy pasuk. It says v'atan yu v'nechi itcha, and your children with you. Tishmur es kunaschem. Safeguard your kahuna l'chol davar mizbeach u'beis al paroiches v'avatam avodas matana etein es kunaschem v'hazar kor v'yumas. So it says it should be you and your children. Tishmur es kunaschem l'chol davar hamizbeach, for all matters of mizbeach. Yachol av mishchita. So it sounds like only mizbeach matters, but maybe the mishchita not. Talmud Lever Shachat has ben habakar lifnei Hashem. It says you shechted the ben habakar lifnei Hashem. Vikrivu v'gaimer. So mekabel v'elach mitzvahs kahuna liman al shchita sheksher b'chol adam. So we see l'chayra shouldn't be b'di'emen only. The answer is you're right. Who didn't feel chatchil nami? Yisham l'kabel misni tameim do chatchil lo gezer shem yigu b'baser tana sheshachtu. You're right. Really, it's l'chatchila. But when it comes to a tummy, it's b'di'emen. Question 5. Tanan kol psum shichatim ksherahim l'chatchila hu b'di'emen. So for everyone, it's l'chatchila. Tameim is b'di'emen. Okay. Weiter. V'tamei di'emen shaper dami. Is it true that when it comes to someone who is tamei b'di'emen, it's okay? Reminhu v'samach v'shachat. It says you're supposed to do the smicha and you do the shchita. Ma smicha b'tahar, shchita b'tahar. It's supposed to be only with a tahar. True, but that's only midrabanan. So ma'ishna smicha. Why by smicha must it be done properly? Because it can, again, midrabanan, we're concerned he may touch the meat. So why by smicha do we say that it's referring to taharim is actually midaraisa? T'chsiv lifnei Hashem. So shchita nami t'chsiv lifnei Hashem. So my answer is actually the ovid sakin aruch of a shachet, because it's possible you could do, even if you're tamei, you can do the shchita outside of the prescribed area, as long as the animal's in the right place. Smicha nami yevshin namal yad v'samach. Also, you could put your hands inside and do smicha. No. Ksavar bia b'mixas shma bia. When it comes to a long knife, so you could actually do the shchita with even your whole body is outside, including your hand. However, when it comes to smicha, you need to physically put your hands on the animal. And therefore, since you can't put your hands on it, because once you do, you're entering inside, we say bia b'mixas shma bia. So that's why smicha is more problematic than shchita. Rav Chisda Masi Ivcha, he says the opposite. The summa of shachat, ma shchita is b'tahirin, as smicha b'tahirin. So ma'ishna shchita. So why by shchita do we need to be tahar? T'chsev lifnei Hashem. Which means that you have to be in front of Hashem, but tahara. So we continue to lam beis and beis. Hashem. So but you can always just put your hands and do smicha. So shchita nami after the other sakan urucha v'shachet. You just have a big knife. So hamani shimon atimoyni the sign of v'shachet has been a bakar lifnei Hashem, v'lo shaykh lifnei Hashem. It all that shita is not the one we're bringing down. To support this is that no, it only says the animal has to be lifnei Hashem, but not the person. So you could use a large knife. Shimon hatimoni amar menayim shu yadav shel shaychit lifnim min hanishchat. How do you know actually your hands need to be inside? Talmud Meshachat has been habakar lifnei Hashem. Shaychit has been habakar yil lifnei Hashem. Also, the person needs to be lifnei Hashem. So therefore, actually, according to him, you would not be able to simply do the shchita from the outside. You have to actually be inside. Omer Ula. So let's focus on the name Ula. Omer Shlakish. Tamei, a person who is Tamei, shehichnis yadu lifnim, that all he does was only put his hands inside. So on this loika, you get malchus, even bias mixas shma bia. Shneim b'chol kodesh l'siga. Begaimer. Makish bia l'negia. Ma negia, just like touching b'mixas shma negia, doesn't even touching a little is negia. Av bia b'mixas shma bia. Even if it's only your hands. So Eisvei Rabbi Yishel Ula. So ask the Kash on Ula. Is that true? Mitzayra. Now when it comes to Mitzayra, which we know is interesting because he has an element of Tumah, but is part of the Tahar process is that he stands by the Shar Niknor, which was deliberately not given the same levels of Kedusha so that he would be able to be there and that he would be able to have the blood applications on his right ear, thumb, and toe. So what happens in Mitzayir Shechol Shmid Shlol Yosmer Pesach? So his 8th day is on Erev Pesach. Obviously, he wants to be able to bring the carbon Pesach. Says Rashi, it's today, the 8th day, which he was supposed to go to Har Bayis. That's why he's able to put his hands in, because it's not considered the same level of Kedusha. So V'ra Keri Bo B'yoyim, but unfortunately he became a Balkari, and we know a Balkari cannot enter into the Har Bayis. So he could enter into the Har Bayis as a Matzaira for this purification, but a Balkari is sent away from the 2 Machnos, even Machna Levia. So what do we do over here, right? So Amr Chachamim Afal B'Yishein Tful Yoyim Acher Nichnas Zeh Nichnas. Even though you're right, normally this guy, now he's at Tful Yoyim, and therefore he's waiting for the day to pass. So the din is that he's still allowed to enter. This person, because he had saras. As Rashi, Zen nichnas umachnes yodel azar. He can put his hands into the azara. Litin medam haasham umuloiga shemen al ubahoy noisav kadesh yatar echel piskal erev. So he's allowed to do this purification process, to remove the tumah of Mitzayra, and he'll achieve tahara by not being a Balkari that night, so he'll be able to eat the carbon Pesach. But the question is, but while you're a Tful Yoim, as a Balkari, you should not be able to enter. But we allow you to. Mutiv Yovo Aseh Sheesh Bo Kares, V'yilchaseh Shein Bo Kares. So better that we should allow the Aseh of carbon Pesach, which is in Kares, to push off an Aseh of sending away someone who's a Balkari who's tummy from the Har Bayis, because that's not a din kares. That's Rashi Shein Onish Kares El Mechemus HaAzara Lifnim. It's only if you would enter the Azara. But putting his hands by the Shar Niknor is not that's only the Har Bayis. That's not considered the Azara. That's not like Machna Shchina. That's like Machna Levia. So therefore, it's not Kares. So therefore, we allow you to do it. Rabbi Yochanan Oimer Devar Tara Fil Asa Fil Aseim Boy Shnem Rabbi Yamin Yoshafat Bekal Yehuda Yerushalayim Bebeis Hashem Lefnei Chatzar Hachadasha. So it says in front of this new courtyard. So according to him, we're going to see Ksavet Tful Yoim Dezav Lav Kazav Dami. So my Chatzar Hachadasha. So Rabbi Yochanan Shechitzu Badavarim Harbe. There's a lot of new chidushim. V'yamru, and he said a new law, that Tful Yoim al yichanes l'machna levia, that someone who is a Tful Yoim should not enter the machna levia with a Har Bayis. V'yamru bia b'mix shma bia. Now, but if you told me that even putting your hand partially in is like a bia, so heichi mal yodei b'bohanais, how could he put his hands in there? Idi v'idi asay sheyesh bo karesu. Well, how are you not allowed to do it? So Amalei Matunach Shani, your weight, Shani Matsayra, Hoyel V'Hutter, L'Tsarasai, Hutter Karya. Basically, we say Hoyel. Since we have matter someone who has Saras to do it, so we're going to matter the one who has the Balkari as well. Even though Ikra Din we shouldn't, but we allow the Bia Mixas for Saras, so then we're going to allow also the Tful Yoim to also do the same thing. So Amr Yosef Ksaver Ula. So basically, that's the idea. He's putting his thumbs into the Azara, the Machna Levia. So if it was the Machna Shchina, this is Kares, since partial entry is full entry. Okay. So Amr Yosef Ksaver Ula Ruban Zavim V'Nasan Tamei Mesim. Let's say the majority of the people are Zav. And the question is that good enough that now, since the majority of Klal Yisrael is Tameh, you can bring the carbon Pesach on the first month, you don't have to wait till Pesach Sheni. V'nasu Tamei Mesim, and they also become Tamei Meis. Hoyel v'hutu tumasan, hutu zivasan. So you say that since, look at Rashi, Ruban shel tzibor, zavin b'Pesach, v'loy nidches tumaziva etzloin, v'nasu Tamei Meisim bo b'yoyim, hoyel v'hutu tumas meis, shenidches etzlon hutu ziva. So basically, we're saying that apparently, when it comes to someone who's a zav, it doesn't work. So the question is by Tamei Meis, it should work that you should then be able to bring the carbon Pesach on the first time. So he says, Hoyel v'hutu tumasan, since we matter you to be able to bring the carbon Pesach, so hutu l'zivasan. We only matter tuma, but not ziva, so one has nothing to do with it. Reuben Tamei Mason. Let's say the first everyone was Tamei Mace, but Nasu Zabin, then he became a Zav. So even though it's true, you don't Zav is not a reason to say you can bring Karban Pesach, but since you're allowed to bring the Karban Pesach since everyone is Tamei Mace, the majority is Tamei Mace, so the fact that you're resolved, that doesn't change it. Okay. So Malay in Vakati Lodami, it's still not the same. But Sarah Hateru. But when it came to the din of Saras, we allow you to put in your Bahanais. Hoyel Ishtri. Once we allow it. Toma Dechuyahi. When it came to Toma to allow it, it's only for its Sibor, it's not like Toma Hutra, it's Toma Dechia. It's only something which we can push off. We're only going to push it off for Tumas Mace, but not for Zav. So Armali Rava Adarabba, Ifchavastam, the opposite. Matzaira Haterahu. When it comes to Matzaira, it's mutter legamri. It's completely mutter. Laha ishtri, laha lo ishtri. We should only matter Saras and not the person who's about carry. Toma dechuyahi. Mali chad dechuya, mali shtei dechuyais. They're both tomit. It's Tumas Mace, mitzvah, Tumas Mace, or it's Tumas Zav. So you're pushing it off. It shouldn't make any difference. So it should be pofakert. Says Gemara in Lamed Gimel Badalef, V'chlal the Tirvayu Sviru, who must be they both hold Tum Dechiyahu B'tzibor. That therefore, what Kloimer, since it's a Dichui Ba'alma, so maybe you'll say it's only pushing off the Tumas Mace, but not Tumas Ziva. Okay. All right, we'll stop there. Let's see maybe another question. Al Eze Indian Omer Ul Hoyel V'Hutul L'Achas Hutur Nami L'Acheres. So we said this by Matzar Shechol Shmini Shaloi Be'erev Pesach V'Ra Keri Bo B'Yoyim V'Taval. So we said Hoyel V'Hutul L'Hachnes Yadol L'Bahanois Al Bisha T'Machosi Kipporim Hu Hutur Nami L'Keria. Okay, we saw that. TA 12. Matzayra shechal shmini shelo be'er Pesach v'raker v'tavol atir lechnos heich shari l'hachnes yadol l'bahanais. So again, because I don't know, it's not a makom tam, right? Bia b'mixes lo shma bia. O hoyel v'hutu l'tzaras v'hutu l'keriyav. O de bia b'mixes havi la blo kares. Okay. Good answer. Question TB12. Masvar shal bayil chalik b'hoyel v'ishtri bein matzayra shehuter b'bahanus bein tumas meis shehuter b'tzibor. Okay. Let's see if I got that right. Got a lot of these questions wrong. So matzayra mutalitin b'hanus avol inin tuma oimrim tami dechia b'tzibor. Okay. V'huter kabo b'matzayra. All right. That's pretty good. Right, and we also said by Matzayra Hoyel Ishtri. Right, let's find that lashon over here. Right, Midawi Toma Ishtri Ziva Ishtri. Matzayra Haterhu Hoyel Ishtri. Right, so you could say that like that too. Right, sounds like I probably got that right. Adka.